Hello my fellows, hope you're doing well. Thanks so much for joining me for today's video. I thought I would do it in a bit of a vlog style for something a bit different. And if you can hear some background noise, it's because I'm doing my laundry at the moment, so that's my washing machine. In today's video, I thought I would give you a bit of an update on my grow tent because I've recently installed a sort of mesh grid so I can fit more plants in there on the vertical space. So I'm really excited to show you guys. But before we get started, if you're new around here, my name is Grace and I post plant videos every week. So if you enjoy planting content like this, feel free to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out when next week's video is out. And without further ado, I'm going to flip you around and give you a bit of a updated tour of my grow tent, or tour of my updated grow tent. So in terms of the general layout of the grow tent, I've kept it pretty much the same as my previous grow tent tour. If you haven't watched that one, I'd highly recommend that you do that because I explain where I got all my materials from. So yeah, check that out if you are interested in that particular information. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking through like all the plants that I have in here because it's very similar to that previous video. I did shift some stuff around and brought in some of my begonias and also some of my anthuriums, you might be able to tell, and also some other bits and bobs because I'm trying to centralize a lot of my plants in here. So for this video, I'm mostly going to be focusing on the mesh grid, the plants that I have on there because I don't think I covered that in my previous grow tent video. Also, what are the sort of materials that I've used to attach the grid, where I got the grid from, where I got the stuff from, and also, you know, some other bits and bobs in relation to this grid. So if you're interested in that information, definitely keep on watching. Something else that I wanted to show you guys is my Hoya Bella. It is flowering at the moment. I'm just waiting for this peduncle to pop. It's been a long time coming. I've been spamming you guys on Instagram with daily updates on this one, but yeah, that's kind of where it's at the moment. I'm really excited for it to bloom. There is another one, as you might be able to see right here, that's also about to bloom. So yeah, if you want to see what that looks like, I'll definitely be posting updates on my Instagram, so follow me on there if you want to see what that looks like. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour of the plants that I have in here. Reason being, I do want to give you guys an update later down the track as well, and this would be a really good benchmark to see how they're faring in a couple of months time. So let's start off right here. This is a Dischidia rusifolia, the million hearts. Really cute plant. The leaves are succulent as well. You can see that this one is puckering slightly, and that's probably because I do err on the side of underwatering these guys. So you can see it's not as fat and succulent as they can be, but they seem to be doing pretty well. You can see a lot of offshoots that are coming through. So that's this one. I might actually need to water it a little bit more. So you can see the new growth is coming out slightly yellow, and that's not really a good sign. So it's probably in, you know, need of a little bit more water, which makes sense because now it's directly under the grow light and probably is using a lot more water than usual. Okay, so down here, you guys would have seen this before. This is my Hoya Chouke. I've recently just moved this in here, so you know, this is what it was like from my north-facing window, and I'm just hoping to see more new growth or faster new growth in the grow tent this spring. Up here we have a Hoya that I haven't shown before because this is actually a relatively new acquisition to my collection. I stupidly bought some Hoyas in winter and they didn't ship very well, so I'm trying to rehab this one. It's actually not very healthy looking. The leaves are kind of paper thin, and I'm not sure if that's normal for a Hoya Sigillatis. Yeah, so sorry, I haven't said what this is. This is a Hoya Sigillatis. Yeah, hopefully it survives because it doesn't really look very healthy. But yeah, I'll give you an update later down the track. Next up, we have my Hoya Krohniana that I have also shown before in a couple of my previous videos, especially in my top trailing Hoyas video. Now, I wanted to give you an update on that growth point that I showed. That's what it's looking like up here. It's grown quite a little bit since I showed that growth point in that video, so that's looking pretty good. Next up, we have my Hoya Heuschkeliana Variegata that I've also shown before. It is flowering for me again, as you can see here. Yep, it's about to flower again, and that's actually another one over here and here as well, so I'm really excited about that. This one is looking really good with the sort of pinkish or blush coloration. It doesn't usually, or it didn't have this sort of coloration before when I showed it, and that's because it's gotten a lot more sun stressed since the last time, so that's why it's got that beautiful coloration. Moving on, here we have my Hoya Retusa. Don't know what else to say about it. I'm just waiting for it to bush out. I did purchase another one to make it a fuller pot. I planted it in the back here. That's another one that I purchased in winter time, and it was actually stuck in the postage for a little while because of delays, but it did make it, and it's looking pretty okay, so I'm excited to see, you know, what it does this coming spring and summer. And above that is my Hoya Curtisii Thai form that I've had for, well, close to 3 years now. It's one of my first Hoyas, along with the Hoya Heuschkeliana Variegata. So this one here was also in my north-facing window, but I've moved it here to the grow tent. Love the sun stressing on this one. I have showed this before in my top trailing Hoya video as well, so not gonna spend too much time on this one. Let's move on. Here we have my Hoya Latifolia Albomarginata. It is pretty much stagnant at the moment. There was a period of time where it was giving me new leaves, but it's stopped since then. It's just focusing on pushing out these vines with these beautiful aerial roots, but no leaves. So yeah, I'm just waiting on it to put out new leaves. And I was also showcasing the sun stressing on this leaf right here. It's turning a beautiful shade of purple, so that's really exciting. So moving on top of that is my Hoya Wayetii that I showcased in my Hoya wishlist video. So I mentioned at the start of 2021 that I wanted to get my hands on this plant, and I did. So here it is. It's looking really good. I love how the new growth comes out, this beautiful shade of purple. It eventually fades off to a green color, as you can see with these ones here, but it's doing pretty well, putting out a vine there as well. And on top here is my what I purchased as Hoya Brevialata, but a couple of you told me that the Hoya Brevialata is actually fuzzy in the back or slightly pubescent, but this one here is not pubescent at all. It is actually very waxy, so I'm not sure what this plant actually is. So if you guys know what the ID of this Hoya is, definitely let me know in the comments below. But yeah, it's got, you know, 2 new growth points, as you can see in the different coloration. It's doing really well so far, and it's put out this vine here with crazy aerial roots that I'm just really looking forward to more leaves. This mesh idea I got from a couple of people on Instagram, because I did poll you guys asking what I should do with this vertical space up here because it was empty before, and I was tossing up between doing a moss wall like James Armstrong did or installing this mesh grid. And you know, obviously I went for the mesh grid. The reason is because, first of all, I don't think that I'll be able to keep the moss wall moist enough. Even though it's in this grow tent, I'm just not that great at keeping moss moist. And another thing as well is I didn't want to have to repot or unpot these Hoyas because I didn't want to disturb the roots, and so I thought that this was the best solution for me personally. So now in terms of the materials, I got this mesh grid from Bunnings. It cost me around about close to $20, I want to say. And the way that we attached this to the grow tent is by using, I'm not sure if you can tell, it's hard to show, but we basically used some of these cable things to attach it to, I don't know what that's called. But yeah, basically we bought a couple of these bits and bobs cables and things like that to attach it to the frame. And as you can see, it's holding really well. This is also kind of stretchy, so as you can see, it does bounce a little bit. But the beauty of that is that it can be adjusted, so it's adjustable up there. So if I wanted to pull this up a little bit because it's sagging from the weight of the plants, I can do that as well. So that's on both sides, as you can see, and it's detached really securely. So that's kind of how we've managed to you know, secure it to the frame. And in terms of these pots, initially I had them zip tied to the grid, but as you can see here, I did change that up because if I zip tied them on, you know, it's not really mobile. I can't move them around. So I invested in a couple of these pot clips. I believe it was around about $18 for a pack of 10 on eBay. And if you're interested, I can link them below as well, so you can purchase them if you want to create something similar. But yeah, they are very handy in my opinion, and they work with larger pots as well, up to 12 millimeters I want to say. Sorry, not 12 millimeters, 12 centimeters in diameter is what I wanted to say. So I'm mainly using them for these little, you know, square pots so that it's not too heavy, and they seem to be holding really well. It's not wobbly or anything like that. It attaches into the, what do you call this, gap in the lip, so it's nice and secure. It's not going to fall over. And the beauty of that as well is that I can shift the plants around if I want to. I can take it out and move it to the sink to give it a good thorough watering and things like that. So yeah, it's been really handy so far. I'm gonna pick this up and show you as well. So this pot here doesn't have the hole, but it's still quite secure. As you can see, it's attached to the underside of the lip, and that works equally as well. So that's just a quick run through of the mesh grid, what I use to hold it in place, and also the sort of mechanism to secure the pots to the grid. So that's the update on my grow tent. It's a bit of a different style today, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. If you want to see more content, feel free to check out these videos on screen right here. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay mellow, my fellows.